Did you know that a lot of the anger and fear we feel doesn't come from real events? How we see our lives, not what they are like. It's a thought that ages. Even though Stoic philosophers lived more than 2,000 years ago, it seems more relevant now. In today's fast-paced, always connected world where uncertainty is the norm, more than ever, from job problems to personal relationships, learning how to deal with fear and anxiety isn't a luxury, it's a need. Watch this video to learn more. We will look at 5 specific strategies based on Stoic wisdom that will help you not only deal with these feelings, but use them to help you grow and be strong. These are tried and true methods that have been used by great leaders and thinkers throughout history. Strategies that have been tried and tested and are used by successful people every day, achieving real and long-lasting change. Before we dive in, if you like what we're doing here, please do me a favor and click the subscribe button. It's free, it makes a big difference, and you shouldn't skip any part of the video. Because each strategy builds on the last, you'll have all the tools you need by the end. To face fear and anxiety with confidence and live a true life. Let's get started and learn how to get over your fear in strength and clarity. Stress and anxiety and get your life back. Anxiety and fear often feel like unwanted guests who show up in our lives without permission and staying longer than they wish. But have you ever thought about what these feelings really are? The Stoics say that anxiety and fear are not the terrible things we think they are. Instead, they send signals that make our opinions about the world stand out and the things we care about. Knowing this is the first step to taking care of them. Think about being on stage about to give a speech. Your heart is racing, your palms start to sweat, and your mind starts to race with what ifs. What should I do if I forget what I said? What if they laugh? What will happen if I fail? The Stoics would stop and ask, why does this make you nervous? Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and one of the best teachers of Stoicism. Believed that what's troubling you is not the situation itself, but how you view it. If you are stressed about something outside of yourself, the pain is not because of that. Not to the thing itself, but to your guess about it, which you can change at any time. Stoicism says that we feel afraid when we think about losing something we care about. Our record, our safety, or our comfort and anxiety, it's a close cousin. When we think about this loss before it happens, both emotions come out. Feed off of uncertainty by making the unknown into something scary. But this is where Stoic wisdom shines. They teach us that these emotions don't have to control us. Instead, we can talk to them about it, figure out where they're coming from, and decide if they deserve it. Remember that. One of the most important lessons from Stoicism is the difference. Epictetus, a former slave who became a philosopher, on what we can control and what we can't. It's simple. Some things are up to us and some aren't. You can't change how people will react to what you say or the weather that day. An important event or the ups and downs of life, but what you can cover. It's up to you to decide how you want to react and what you think about these situations. When we feel scared or anxious, the Stoics would tell us to ask ourselves, do I have the power to do this? If it's not, why waste valuable energy? Do you care about it? Imagine having to carry a heavy bag full of things. You can't use or need this. This is what it's like to worry about things you can't change. Letting go of that weight isn't just freeing, it changes your life. What about the things we can change? It's not Stoicism that encourages passive acceptance of fate. It tells us to be responsible for our actions and thoughts, not the other way around. If you're afraid of a challenge because you think you're not ready for it, then get ready. If your anxiety comes from not knowing what to do, think about the steps you can take to get through it. Stoics believed that people should live actively instead of reactively, and this proactive way of thinking can get rid of fear before it takes hold. There's another side to this. The Stoics really understood how values work. Fear often means that values are not lined up. Are we too careful about what we value and what we focus on? With what other people think? Do we hold on to material possessions too tightly? What about fleeting moments of comfort? Seneca, a famous Stoic thinker, reminds us of this. No one who hates death will ever do anything true for a living man. This doesn't mean we should ignore fear completely. Instead, we should look into it. Is it leading us towards something mere or something important? By holding on to ourselves. When we look at the Stoic principles, we can see fear and anxiety for what they really are. Not impossible forces, but callings to think and grow. They want us to reevaluate our priorities, change how we see things, and pay attention to what really matters. We regain our power when we deal with these feelings with a calm mind. We stop letting our feelings hold us and become active participants in them. What we do every day, so the next time fear or anxiety calls, take a moment to ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Do I have power over this? Do I have my thoughts on what really matters? This is what the Stoics would question. They have the answers that can turn fear into a tool for growth. We can start to live with more peace, clarity, and purpose if we accept this point of view. Not having to worry about what you do not need to thoughts have such a huge impact on our lives that two people can be in the exact same situation. But one feels calm while the other is filled with anxiety. What's the difference? Not the situation, but how they see it. This idea is at the heart of Stoicism. Old Stoics say that how we understand the world determines how we experience it. And by mastering how we see things, we can change how we deal with problems in life. Imagine that you are caught in traffic and can't stop the cars around you or the clock. But you can choose how you see the situation from one point of view. It could be anger because this is ruining my day. It could also be gratitude. The event doesn't change, so at least I have time to listen to my favorite podcast. But the way you see it changes, no matter how small it seems. Can turn your emotional state. Epictetus had a powerful way. He said this to explain what he meant. What bothers people is not things themselves. But think about what they said about these things for a second. Not the traffic jam, the missed chance, or the rude comment. What bothers us is the meaning we give to those experiences. When we learn to question these judgments, we get back in charge of how we feel. This isn't just about traffic jams or small problems, as Stoicism teaches us. To see how this principle works with life's biggest problems, think about quitting your job at first glance. This may seem terrible, and it's normal to feel scared or sad. The Stoics, on the other hand, would tell us to ask ourselves, is there another way to see this? Maybe losing this job will open up new opportunities. Maybe it's a chance. To realign your life with what really matters, you need to change the way you see things. Doesn't get rid of the challenge, but it changes how you get through it. The great thing about this Stoic principle is that it gives us the freedom to choose how to react to the world. It reminds us that our ideas aren't set in stone. They can change. Another famous Stoic said that we suffer more in our thoughts than in real life. We let our minds go awake a lot of the time. Making small setbacks turn into huge catastrophes. That spiral can be stopped in its tracks, though, if we ground ourselves in rational thought. When you feel overwhelmed, it's helpful to stop and think about what you want to do instead of acting right away. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Sometimes just narrating the story in your head can help you see that it's either exaggerated or not helpful. From there, you can choose a new perspective that will enhance your power. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it's not when you use reframing. Because Stoicism isn't about blind optimism, it's about getting things straight and selecting a response that matters to your values and goals. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often to keep his mind on what he could do right now instead of getting lost. He wrote, "Don't let your reflection on the whole sweep out of fear or regret. Do not let the present situation of life crush you." The Stoics also knew that how we see problems can change them into chances. A failure can be seen as a dead end or a lesson. Being turned down can feel like a loss. We take ownership of what we see and change our perspective towards something better we have had. No matter how hard they may be, when you start to see, you become aware of how much control you have over your emotional state when you see your thoughts as tools. Life will always give you problems. That's unavoidable. What you can control is what you do with those problems. How you view those challenges is important, and as the Stoics would say, mastering this is the key getting to know yourself. You spend a lot of time somewhere other than here and now. Have you ever thought about that? It's possible that your mind is replaying a conversation from yesterday or making up stories. It's like our thoughts are always pulling us away from what might happen tomorrow. Based on the idea that life is happening right now, in the present, the Stoics understood this. They think that we can only find real peace and clarity when we center ourselves. Right now, picture this. You're working on a project at your desk. Your thoughts are jumping between what you didn't finish last week and what you need to do this week, and the long list of things you need to do tomorrow. That music makes you stressed not because of the work, but because you're not paying attention to all of it at once. People who say things that don't exist anymore or haven't happened yet. Marcus Aurelius, confine yourself to the present, as the philosopher Emperor put it. It's easy to think that staying in the present means ignoring the past, but that's not what it means. The Stoics weren't advocating for being careless with the future or never making plans for it. Instead, they taught us that our energy is best spent on things that are useful. The past can't be changed when it comes to what we can control right now. We can't know what will happen in the future. So all we can do is live in the present. Think about how much anxiety comes from that, either out of regret or anticipation. You may be repeating a crazy moment, you may be worried or wish you'd said something different a week ago about a coming decision, living in your head, endless what-if scenarios. If you want to be a Stoic, you should stop and ask yourself, what can I do right now? Epictetus, one of the most important Stoic teachers, reminded us that the present is the only time we have to do something, and think about what to do not only lowers anxiety, but it also makes life better. How often do we rush through our days because we're too busy crossing things off our lists? We worry so much about the future that we forget to enjoy the little things that make life worth living. The feel of sunlight on our skin, the sound of laughter, or the satisfaction of a job well done. Stoics thought that we can find happiness by living in the present moment fully. And what it means for even the most normal activities. When the Stoics tried to stay in the present, they used what we might now call mindfulness. No matter how easy or hard the task was, they would remind themselves to keep their attention on it. Aurelius told himself, "Do everything in your life as if it were the last." Act in your life. That doesn't mean you're always in a rush. However, taking each moment with care and intention, even when it's just a normal day, like how eating a meal or having a conversation tastes better when you're full. Another powerful Stoic tool is to break down difficult situations into smaller pieces that you can handle. Do not worry about all the things that need to be done. Look at the next step. Seneca said that we should never let life crush us all at once. When we deal with one thing at a time, we not only make progress, but we also avoid getting stuck. When you think too much about living in the present, also means accepting the moment as it is without resisting it, or wishing it were different when it rains. Let it rain. If there's a delay, do something else with that time. The Stoics think that fighting reality only makes our pain worse. Rather, we get in sync with the flow of life when we take in the present. and find freedom. It's not always easy to be there. These days, modern life pulls our attention in a million different directions, but the Stoics teach us that focusing on the present moment is like building muscle. If you want to make it easier, start small the next time you feel your thoughts. Drifting to the past or future. Kindly bring them back to the present notice. What's around you, your breath, or the thing you need to do? This simple act, focusing on the present, can change how you relate to time and how you relate to yourself. We take back our power and stop being stuck in the past or the future. Instead of fully engaging with what is, as Marcus Aurelius said, what makes you happy in life depends on the quality of your thoughts, and the best thoughts make you happy. Are these people based in the here and now? Have you ever noticed how often we don't think about what could go wrong? In a way, it's as if we think that if we don't think about it, it won't happen. Here's the catch. Avoiding those thoughts doesn't keep us safe. In fact, it can make us freak out more. This is where one of the most true things lies, because the unknown looms bigger in our minds. Negative visualization is used by Stoics. It's not about being pessimistic or thinking about worse things that could happen. It's about getting your mind and emotions ready. Think of planning an important event, so that fear no longer rules you. If you think that something is not going right at a wedding or trade show, it's possible that bad weather, technical problems, or forgetting something could make you very anxious. The Stoics would tell you to face your fears head-on and not let them scare you. But to weaken their strength, Seneca, one of the most famous Stoics, wrote, "He takes away the power of present problems from people who saw them coming." When we think about what could go wrong in a calm way, we eliminate those possibilities. Negative visualization means intentionally picturing things that are bad for us. What could go wrong? But here's the key. It's done from a safe place. Do not worry. Instead, think about what could happen and how you would react. You might ask yourself, what would I do if that happened? If you're worried about losing your job, how would I handle my money? What chances might this give me by facing the possibility? When you talk about your fear, you start to see that it's not as terrible as you thought. In the back of your mind, this practice doesn't just get you ready for the challenges of life. It also has a surprising side effect of making you grateful when you think about it. It's hard to lose important things like your health, your home, or a loved one. You value those things even more now because of it. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often thought about how life changes. He kept reminding himself that everything we have is a gift, is loaned and not owned by using negative visualization. We learn to enjoy what we have while we still have it. There's a story that goes with this, with Stoic thinkers about how they would live every once in a while as if they had lost everything. Seneca, for instance, would eat only the simplest foods for days on end. And wearing the roughest clothes, he asked himself, "Is this what I was afraid of?" This activity helped him understand that even the worst situations weren't as bad as he thought. It made him feel like he could handle anything that came his way. Now you might be wondering what that means. Doesn't thinking about bad things happening make you more anxious? It can seem counterintuitive. When you use negative visualization, on the other hand, the opposite is true. When your fears change from vague, overwhelming ones to specific, manageable ones, if you turn on the lights in a dark room, it's like getting rid of those scary shadows. Are found to be normal furniture instead of being stuck by what if you start to wonder, so what? How would I handle this? Not only does it train your mind to be more resilient, but life is unpredictable. Things will go wrong at some point, but if you've thought about and planned for those times, you'll be ready. They lose their power when you stop seeing setbacks as unavoidable and start seeing them as opportunities. Looking at them as challenges makes you ready to face exception. Challenges are things that make someone realize what they're not good at. What it means is that you should be ready for the worst. It's like bringing an umbrella. That day, you hope you don't need it, but you're ready in case you do. Being ready for this doesn't make you nervous. It gives you confidence that no matter what comes your way, you have the tools to handle it. How do you put this into practice? Make it easy on yourself. Every day, take a few minutes to think about something that scares you. It could be a project going badly, an unexpected cost, or a tough conversation. Picture it in detail, not just the problem, but also what you would do to fix it. How would you adapt? And as you do this exercise, remind yourself of your starts and strengths over time. These fears will fade away, and you'll feel better. The beauty of negative visualization is that it's both useful and easy to do. It teaches you about life's challenges and helps you get ready for them. The Stoics believed that we can appreciate life's blessings by facing our fears head-on. We get away from their control, and that makes us feel more at peace. Thankfulness and strength. You are not born with resilience. It is something you build and use often. It's built during times when life gives you the most trouble. Remember a time when you had to deal with a big problem. It could have been losing a job, dealing with a bad relationship, or going through a personal failure. From now on, it may not have seemed overwhelming or even impossible at the time. It's likely that you can see how those experiences shaped you and showed you how strong you are. The Stoics believed that you should be able to handle things like this. That endurance is the key to being strong. The Stoics had a unique way of looking at troubles as opportunities instead of hardships. As for chances for growth, Seneca famously said that no man is more unhappy than he is. One who never faced trouble is not allowed to prove himself. He said that challenges are what make us stronger, like a blade, grows sharper with friction. We get stronger as we go through troubles. Think about how this works in real life. Picture an athlete training for a marathon. While motivation is high, the process isn't easy and takes a long time. Isn't there? But their endurance grows through the pain and effort. As we go through hard times, the same is true for our mental and emotional strength. And decide not to give up, we get better ready for the next challenge. The Stoics were real-life philosophers who didn't just talk about being strong, they lived it. For example, Epictetus was born a slave and had to deal with unimaginable hardships. But he didn't let his situation define him. Instead, he focused on what he could change. Through his thoughts and actions, he taught his students that we can't always make the right choice. Our settlement, but we can always choose how to react to them. Things that make things hard are signs of what they are, he said. One of the most important Stoic ideas is that trouble shows us who we really are. They called this premeditatio malorum to get ready for hard times ahead of time, or the premuration of evils. It involves thinking about possible problems and thinking about how you might react. This practice isn't about dwelling on bad things that could happen. It's about boosting mental strength by getting ready for problems. When you already have a picture of yourself, you're less likely to be caught off guard when they show up. When things are tough, you're more sure of your ability to handle them. The Stoics also learned to be resilient by allowing themselves to feel uncomfortable. Seneca, for example, would sometimes eat simple food and act like he wasn't well. He wore simple clothes to remind himself that even in the worst situations, things could get better. What he could endure. Is this the state of being I so afraid of? He would ask that this practice not only made him stronger but also more resilient. But it also made him less afraid of losing comfort and luxury. This is what happens when you know you can handle discomfort. Stop being afraid of it. Endurance also teaches us patience, as the Stoics knew that not all problems can be solved quickly is sometimes the only way out. It was through Marcus Aurelius that he often wrote about how important, of perseverance, he reminded himself to do each day's work, no matter how hard it was. By following rules and focusing on endurance and persistence, he wrote this. This is the philosophy of life. When you try to romanticize resilience, it's easy to forget how hard it is to build. Not only is it messy, uncomfortable, and frustrating a lot of the time, but it's also deeply rewarding. Every time you get through a tough time, you show yourself that you can do it. When things go wrong, you learn that pain, whether physical or emotional, is only temporary. Don't let them define you. They can do it for you. The Stoics didn't see resilience. Life will keep testing us, not as an end goal, but as a way of life. We become stronger when we embrace endurance, even when we can't see it coming. With each challenge, we stop being afraid of problems and start seeing them for what they are. Viewed as chances to grow. Have you ever felt like you couldn't do anything because you had to get a certain result? Put your energy into a project, a relationship, or a personal goal, but you'll only find yourself in the end. It's exhausting to worry about whether things will go the way you wanted them to all the time, isn't it? Being afraid of failing or being let down can make you lose your peace of mind. But what if you could let go? The stress and just focus on the process itself. The Stoics thought this was not only possible, but the idea that you need to live a full life is at the heart of Stoicism. That even though we can control what we do, we can't control what happens as a result of it. Some things are up to us, and some things are not, as Epictetus put it. You are in charge of your effort, your preparation, and your attitude. But those results depend on a huge number of factors, many of which are completely out of our control. Outside your influence. Seeing this difference makes you free. It takes the weight off your shoulders. It frees you from worrying about things you can't change and lets you focus on things you can. When an artist works on a painting, they put all of their heart and soul into the strokes. However, once the painting is done, how others see it is out of their hands. Should it be praised or criticized? The Stoics would say that doesn't matter. What matters is what matters. Is that the artist did their best and stayed true to their vision? The same goes for you. Anything you do in life, from applying for a job to training for a marathon. If you're starting a new business or giving something your all, you shouldn't be tied to a certain outcome. But stepping back from results doesn't mean you stop caring. In fact, it's the opposite. It means giving your all to what you're doing while knowing that the outcome isn't entirely your own. To find out about Marcus Aurelius, the Roman Emperor and Stoic paper. Many times to remember to look at his duty, not the rewards. He wrote, "Never let the future bother you. You will meet it if you have to. With the same tools of reason that you use today, you can fight the present." This way of thinking helps you stay grounded in the present moment, free from worry. Living in fear of what might or might not happen is one of the main sources of stress in life. Is the difference between what we expect and what we really get, what we want to happen, and when it doesn't happen, we get frustrated, angry, or even losing. The Stoics teach us that this kind of suffering often comes not because of the situation itself, but because of how we felt about how things should be. We can deal with life's twists and turns by letting go of those expectations. Imagine you're studying for a big test with more calm and resilience. You have done everything possible to get ready for daily reading tests, nights without sleep, but on the day of the exam, the questions are surprisingly hard. No matter how much you try, the results are uncertain no matter how much you try. Instead of focusing on the score, the Stoics would tell you to think about the work you've put in. On the effort you put in, did you prepare well and do your best? If the answer is yes, you've done well, no matter what grade you got. This method can also be used in relationships, even when you try your best. To share, support, or nurture someone. When the relationship doesn't work out. It's easy to blame yourself or feel like a failure, but the Stoics would tell you not to, that you can't change the other person's decisions or feelings. What you can change is yourself. By focusing on those things, you showed how you behaved and how you dealt with them. Setting your mind on something else can help you find peace even when things don't go as planned. Is not about giving up dream or goals. It's about making your happiness stronger and sense of self in the process rather than the outcome when you talk about what success means to you. You take back your power by your work, not by external validation. The wise man is happy with his lot, no matter what it is, as Seneca said, without wishing for what he doesn't have. This doesn't mean settling, it means finding joy. It is more important to enjoy the process of striving than the results of your work. This is the beauty of the Stoic principle, is that it makes you less likely to be affected by what happens. It doesn't matter if you win, lose, succeed, or fail. You're no longer at the mercy of other people. You stay the same because your worth isn't based on what happens, but on how you live. We all admire other people's courage, but we often don't dare to claim it for ourselves. It makes us think of movie heroes, like firefighters who run into buildings on fire or activists. Standing up for what's right and against wrong are definitely brave things to do. We're not only supposed to have courage in extraordinary situations, we should use it all the time. Each and every day, often in quiet personal battles that no one else can see. The Stoics really understood this. Courage wasn't about not being afraid. It was about doing something even though you were scared. Remember the last time you were scared to do something important, like speak up in a meeting. Asking someone to help you with a problem or beginning something new, like a project or a relationship. That little voice in your head may have said, "What if I fail? What if I look stupid?" Fear can stop us in our tracks because it plays on our weakest emotions. But here's the thing. Courage isn't not being afraid. It's choosing to go forward. Even so, Seneca the Stoic philosopher said, "He who is brave is free." They think that fear is a normal part of life, and that what matters is how we deal with it. That defines us. Epictet taught his students to pay attention to what they could control. You might not be able to get rid of fear completely, but you can decide what to do when it comes up. He said, "Don't hope that things will go the way you want them to. Welcome them as they are. No matter how they happen, you need to stop waiting for the perfect conditions." Or, the moment you feel 100% sure of what you need to do right now, even if you're scared. Courage isn't always bold moves. It can be found in small, everyday choices, too. It's having the guts to say no to things that don't fit with your values. Being brave enough to stand up for yourself when someone crosses a line is important, even if it's uncomfortable. It takes courage to accept you were wrong and make up for it. This may not make headlines, but they form your character and make your spirit stronger, which is one of the most powerful parts of you. The idea of embracing discomfort is at the heart of Stoic courage. That to grow and move forward, you often have to step into the unknown, Marcus Aurelius wrote. You are in charge of your thoughts, not outside events, and you will find strength. This is how courage begins with mindset. When you face a trouble, instead of asking yourself why this is happening to me, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow? Fear often grows from not knowing what will happen. The what-ifs can get out of hand. Stocks would tell us that the challenge ahead seems insurmountable. Seneca wrote that a lot of the things we worry about never come to pass. When we face our fears head-on, we suffer more in our minds than in real life. A lot of the time, we find that they're not as overwhelming as we thought. It's themselves that we can avoid. When you're scared or running away from it, vulnerability gives you courage. And this part might be the hardest to live with, the courage to take chances. You know full well that you could fail or get hurt, but as the Stoics teach, you shouldn't be afraid of failing. You should welcome it. Every setback is a chance to improve. Problems that you have to solve make you smarter, just like work makes your body stronger. Seneca wrote, "When you stop worrying about failing, you become more open to opportunities you may not have thought of." Another important aspect. Stoic courage is linked to integrity. True courage is not careless or selfish. Doing the right thing even when it's hard is what it means to stay true. Marcus Aurelius often told himself, "Be true to your principles even if it costs you something." No matter what, to act with fairness, kindness, and respect. It takes courage to stay true to your values even when the world tries to pull you away. Living with courage doesn't mean you won't feel fear because life takes many turns. You will, but every time you face it and decide to do something anyway, you shape up. The more you use it, the stronger it gets, just like any other muscle. Your fears will fade over time, and the things that used to scare you will no longer bother you. Being sure that you can handle whatever life throws at you will give you a sense of freedom. With the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, fear and anxiety don't have to run your life. It is possible for you to change these feelings into strength, clarity, and resilience. Remember that every step you take to control your emotions is a step. Please stay in touch with Deep Stoic today as you work to improve your life. I really appreciate your time and attention if you found value in this video. Don't stop here. Click on one of the videos on your screen to learn more about how to do it. Strategies for being stoic that will help you live a more karma-filled life, and always, don't give up, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.